Hello, LCS fans. Let's take a break from MSI for a second to talk about some news that came out of Evil Geniuses today. They announced a few different roster changes that they put together. The most high-profile one will be the promotion of Danny, who was playing under the name Shiro within Evil Geniuses Prodigies. The bot laner, they promoted him to their LCS team. They let Deftly go. And they also signed Team Luke to come up from the amateur scene into their academy team, and sent Shiro down to Evil Geniuses Prodigies because he had been playing remotely all split, and I guess they still haven't been able to resolve those visa issues. So they decided they wanted to have somebody on site as part of the academy team. They also signed Skytech as the new support for their amateur team, let Mist go. So a bunch of different changes in their bottom lane throughout the org. But what I want to talk about is Danny at the LCS level. And his promotion all the way up from their amateur team straight into LCS, skipping the academy step along the way. So this is a big deal. And let's first give you guys an idea, if you haven't been following the amateur scene in NA, or following Proving Grounds and academy and all of that. Who is Danny? Where did he come from? So Danny was playing under the name Shiro, like I said, in EG Prodigies. He's a 17-year-old player, very young. He is best known for being a Samira player this split, or spring split rather. He played 13 games of it throughout the Proving Grounds circuit with a 77% win rate. You had these, big pentakills and so on with Samira ults and the kinds of things that you want to see from a Samira. Very well known for that, but he also played, just as much Kaisa, which was meta for everybody, but also Senna. So he had a reasonably diverse profile in his champions. Is not just a one trick. So he's best known as an explosive carry player, kind of the high resource, high mechanics kind of bot laner. But he can also play without resources, and EGP played through Surdy in the top lane quite a bit as well. They didn't just make everything about being the Shiro show. So I think you can have a diverse set of expectations for Danny, and not just say he's got to go on Samira and get all the resources and pop off in team fights. He's a more diverse player than that, who can do a wider variety of things. When we look at why Evil Geniuses made this move, there are a combination of push and pull factors. So the push factors, why Danny kind of earned his way into LCS, is he's good. He's a good player. He's a good prospect. He's been improving fast. He's one of the players in the EG talent pipeline and development system who has been the most noticeable. I'd say the two top players in their system, Shiro and Jojo Pion, who's the mid laner for Academy. But there was an opening in bot lane, and that leads into kind of the pull factors. When you look at EG LCS, you're not going to look at mid lane or top lane or some of these things and say they need to make a change there. I think the most obvious place for them to make a change, given that they didn't meet their own goals in the spring split, was in the bot lane with Deftly. I think he started off the spring split reasonably well, but had some problems and couldn't quite play to the level they hoped for later in the split and in the playoffs. So that was a pull factor, right? Like, hey, we need to make a change. We didn't achieve our goals in spring, and this is the role where we think we can make the biggest difference and make a change. And when you look back at how EG put their LCS roster together for this year, there was a lot of information being reported about how EG wanted to make the trade of Huni for Lost, get Lost from TSM and make Lost their starting bot laner, and that fell through. That didn't happen. I assume that they were very interested in King from Cloud9 Academy, but all the information that we've been able to hear out of that, or speculate on at least, is that King has a super high buyout, and so presumably EG thought just the price was too high, and that move didn't make sense for what they were trying to do. And so they ended up kind of falling back on Deftly. People might look at other options they might have had, like, oh, Sneaky is out there, and you can still bring him in, but I think even if you disagree with me that Sneaky's level of play wasn't high enough to be on a team that aspires to go to Worlds at this stage, based on the last we've seen from him, I think getting like an ultra veteran like that didn't fit where EG is heading as an org. When they brought in this coaching staff and built out this roster, yes, you can look at all the veterans they have in LCS, but you also have to look at kind of the contract structures that they inherited. Svenskeren being already in the org, they brought in Ignar, they brought in Impact, all these veterans, but what did they do below that? They stacked their system with all these prospects and things you can tell they're building for the long term. So there was a combination of Danny kind of earning his way and saying, hey, I'm ready for a shot, or at least, doing a lot better and looking good. And the pull factors of we need to make a change. Even if we're building up a talent pipeline, we still aspire to go to Worlds and finish top 3 in NA. And we don't feel we're close to that right now. We're not a top 3 team with Deftly. We honestly weren't really very close. Let's change something. And maybe we can get to top 3. But even if we don't, we're still promoting a young player and giving him experience on the stage, giving him a chance to grow. So I think when you look at this move, you have to look at it in a combination of motivations and what the goals are on different time frames. So I think there are a set of short-term goals that EG are aiming for here. Obviously, like I said, if everything clicks really well, they might feel we weren't that far off of top 3 and going to Worlds. And at the very least, I think they feel that promoting this player will give them a better chance to get top 3 than they would have had if they stayed with Deftly, especially given that, like I said, I thought Deftly played better at the start of the year than he did in mid-year, and that's not the right direction you want to be trending in. You want to be trending up, not trending down, going into the summer split. So, there is that short-term goal of still being an org that aspires to be top 3 and go to Worlds and take away the spot from TSM, or, I think knocking out TL or C9 might be a bit ambitious, but maybe you can try to grab that 3rd spot. But I think more importantly in the short term, it's improvement with this player specifically. You want to see that Danny can come up, that he can look better at the end of the summer split than he did at the start, that he is growing, and that your trajectory is positive, because the trajectory had been, I think, in general, kind of on the downward direction for EG. But more importantly for EG, I think, are their long-term goals. And when improvement is one of your short-term goals, then obviously long-term goals are what really matter. I think success for this move for EG would be if they if they can say at some point during 2022 that Danny is a top 5 bottom laner in the LCS. That'll be a great success if he is growing in that direction, right? And if he's improving over time. I think the really long-term success, though, is that they want Danny to be one of their core domestic players for the long-term future of this organization. And I've talked before about kind of my roster building philosophy in the LCS, which is get the strongest domestic core you can and add imports on top, whether that's 1 import, 2 imports, that has to be contextual. And they want him to be one of those domestic core players for them. So when you look at Blabber and Vulcan on Cloud9, that's their domestic core. Now they're adding Fudge in and kind of trying to grow him up into that. And if you have the strongest 3-player domestic core you can have, that's going to be the best way to win the LCS. Not just a single given split, but be a top 3 team and go to Worlds year after year. So when we look at this move, when you look at Danny and how he plays in summer, you've got to give him time to grow and improve over the course of the summer split. And as long as he's looking better and better week after week, that is a short-term success for EG. You also want to look at, are they putting themselves in a better position to go to Worlds than they would have been if they stuck with Deftly? But in the long term, we will judge the success of this move based on whether Danny becomes a domestic kind of anchor piece to continue building their roster around as time plays out. And I think he's got the quality to do that. I think it's going to take time because this is very early. He is a 17-year-old player, and promoting him, I think in pure isolation, this move might be a little early, right? It's earlier than you'd probably want. But there were those pull factors that EG needed to make a change, and he was the best option available to them. I think if you want to look at whether or not they can promote Shiro, I mean, there's the visa issue for one thing, but even then, I think Shiro showed a higher ceiling and showed probably a faster capacity to learn and grow into what they want. So I think they probably still would have promoted Shiro over Shiro, at least I would have. And yeah, I think if you can kind of see that curve, you're going to be excited about this move, and you're going to say that they've made a good play forward. I think in a perfect world, EG would have ridden out this year and let Shiro move up into Academy for summer so that they could have a longer-term contract with him, because in an amateur contract, you can only hold the contract of the player up until November, and then you have to end the contract. You can't carry them across over the years. So I think they would have moved Shiro up at least into Academy, even if they didn't have this need at the LCS level. But this is what the context dictated. I think there are going to be some bumps because he is so young, some kind of bumps in the road and things they have to overcome. And I'm sure, this was not their perfect plan for the development of this player. And you can see, them leaving Jojo Pion, for example. I mean, he's even younger, so they actually don't have the option to promote him. But, they want to give that amount of time for the player to go. But again, the context is he was playing his way into earning the spot. They clearly feel he's a better option to win now than Deftly was. And even if things don't work out that well this summer for EG to reach top 3, as long as he is growing and using that experience in a positive direction, this should be a win for the EG organization. And to make my personal feelings on it very clear, I'm really excited about it. I hoped that a move like this would happen, and I can't wait to see how Danny performs for EG and what that org does with their talent pipeline moving forward. So look forward to watching Danny in LCS in the summer split. Cheer for him. Don't don't flame him for every mistake. I feel like I shouldn't have to give out this message about young players over and over, but sometimes we feel like we need to. Give him some time to learn and grow and make some mistakes and improve after them. So let's watch all of that together and be excited about it. And good luck to Danny as he makes his LCS debut this summer. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think of my take. If nobody ever disagreed with what I was saying, it wouldn't be worth putting out there. So I want to hear from you whether you like what I was saying, whether you think I got it wrong somewhere. Either way, let's have that conversation. Make sure you leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. It really does help the channel grow a lot, so I appreciate it.